In this video today, you're actually going to get to see me work out. We're going to go through a HIIT training workout that I did recently, and we're going to talk about why I think that's a good HIIT training workout and why I think that, well, a lot of people are not doing HIIT training workouts properly. All right, so we're getting ready to go over this recent HIIT training workout that I did, but I want to talk a little bit about it right before we get into it, okay? I think this is the perfect kind of workout for someone who is doing a sport like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, where you are, it's catabolic in nature. It's breaking, it's fatiguing your arms, fatiguing your legs a lot in training, okay? And so when you go into a training class, you're sparring and you don't really have a lot of control of that over that unless you just skip sparring. So you're getting fatigue in your arms, getting fatigue in your legs while doing jiu-jitsu, but let's say you are also training to get stronger. So like right now I'm on a strength cycle, so it's important for me to get stronger, but also important for me to improve in jiu-jitsu. But I have a competition coming up, and so I'm implementing some HIIT training to try to hit those high intensity heart rates to make sure my heart is primed and ready to go. I realized that I've been doing long aerobic base training, so I'm good on that end. I've been doing jiu-jitsu, I've been doing strength training, I've been doing high rep bodybuilding prior to going into my strength program. So I'm prepared in a lot of aspects, but when it comes to that high heart rate, hitting that 95, 97%, I'm not quite there. And I think I can gain and glean some benefits from implementing HIIT training about once a week before my tournament that is coming up in 2 months. So this HIIT training workout I put together, I incorporated a few different movements in it. The movements that I incorporated, I made sure that the reps were not such a high amount that it was going to really fatigue any certain muscle really beyond that, like when you start to really blow up and you really start to occlude and get a pump. I did not want that effect happening. So I made sure that the weights I used, the amount of reps I used, would not bring me to that point of getting a pump, or the weights wouldn't be so heavy that it would cause fatigue that would hurt me in my strength work. So I chose alternating movements that would not work the same muscle groups in a row. So that way, again, I wasn't building up too much fatigue, or I wasn't accumulating too much volume in one movement pattern, if that makes sense. So what you're going to see is I did wall balls, I did jump rope, I did slam balls, burpees, and assault bike. And I did them in such a way that I was never overusing any one of those muscle groups, and I would switch right when I got to the point of starting to build up some fatigue. So that's why I incorporated those. You can incorporate all kinds of exercises into your HIIT training, but I wanted to go through and explain why I incorporated those movements specifically. So here we go. Let's get into the workout. Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. I am going to walk you through a little high intensity interval training, a HIIT workout that I put together, and going through this because I just recently did a video all about HIIT training. So in this workout, I did a little 3-minute AMRAP, as many reps as possible, starting with 15 wall balls with a 20-pound ball. I chose that ball because it was fairly light for me for 15 reps, but I knew it would get my heart rate up. As you can see, the heart rate is starting to go up to 80% range as I come off of the ball. Going from there into 50 double unders. I want to do a movement that would continue to drive my heart rate up, but wouldn't give me a ton of fatigue build up in the legs, wouldn't build up a ton of fatigue in my arms. On a strength cycle, trying to get stronger, and also doing jiu-jitsu, and did not want to fatigue my muscles for any of that, but wanted to get in this high intensity training. Tripped up there on my double unders, but you can see my heart rate rising as I'm going into this 3-minute interval. Moving on to slam balls, doing 15 slam balls at 15 pounds, which is light. just enough to really keep me moving and keep that heart rate close to 90% for as I get deeper into the interval. Since it's a 3-minute interval, I didn't want to be at 95% for the whole entire interval. My whole goal was to start hitting 95% heart rate there towards the very end of the interval. From there, going into 10 burpees, which I knew would spike the heart rate, doing 10 burpees there. And of course, that was the intent. And you can see my heart rate jumping up. We got 91%. And, you know, it's going to keep jumping up. As it's going to definitely jump up and spike up as I come off the burpees here. So wrapping up 10 burpees, now I'm going to the assault bike in the interval setup where I'm going to go for max calories on the assault bike with the remaining time, ending up with about 36 seconds on the assault bike, knowing that my heart rate is getting close to that 94% range. I didn't have my heart rate monitor in front of me, but because this was my third interval, I knew I was getting close there. So I'm not doing like a full all out sprint. As the weeks go and as they progress, I'm going to get more intense on those intervals as I go from week to week. So looking here at the board, just wanted to go over a little bit. I scored each round, so I know the board is a mess. Okay, my handwriting's horrible, and it's a lot of chicken scratch here. But you can see the 1, 2, 3, 4. Last WK was my score last week in calories. I scored it by the calories I got on the bike. Last week, first round got 7.2. This week, 9.2. Last week, 8 point something. I can't even read that on the second interval. This week, 10 on the second interval. 9.9 last week on the third. 12 this week on the third interval. 13 last week on the last interval, 14 this week on the last interval. Now, I was going to do 5 intervals today. Now, look over on the right-hand corner. Now, I wanted to note this. You can see my heart rate dropping. My heart rate's dropping now down to, we've got 82% here in the 80s. My goal for these intervals, my rest, was to wait until my heart rate got to 65%. Once my heart rate got to 65%, then I would start my next interval. So what I was doing is clocking and keeping up with the time. So where you see I was doing math over to the left, like 19:35 is where I ended, and then 21:40 is where I picked up, and I was at 65%. So that's how long my recovery was. Same thing, 25:25 was where I ended one interval. 27:50 was where my heart rate hit 65%. 31:41 to 34:41, and then 39:30 to 42. Those were my recovery times. And so I recorded the recovery times as well this week. So that way next week I could see how my recovery times differed, how my calories differ. And I also recorded my heart rate peak, my top heart rates for each interval as well, which you can't see right now on the screen. But as soon as my heart rate monitor goes away, you will be able to see that. So you're going to be able to see what my top heart rate percentages were each time, my recovery time each round, and my calories each round. So the next week, what I want to do is I want to either try to hit or sustain that. I can choose my progression, right? I can choose to either try to increase calories and keep the same amount of rounds, or I can choose to increase rounds and go more rounds. Now, this week, I did not, you can see my recovery times increased, right? It started 156, 205, 225, and then it jumped up to 3 minutes. When it hit 3 minutes, I cut myself off there. I was done. I could feel my legs starting to fatigue and blow up a little bit. So, being as I want to get stronger, and I knew I was having leg day the next day, I knew I didn't want to blow my legs up too much. So, I changed the game up, and I did one more interval, but I changed the whole interval. I did something different. I just want to try something out to mess with some blood flow redirection. And I did max reps of a curl and press with, I think, like 35 pounds. So I did 20 reps of that with a curl into a strict press. And then when I finished, I got on the bike and I looked at the heart rate monitor and I just went hard as I could until I hit 95% on the bike, which ended up getting me 25 calories. And then when I recovered from that, so technically I did 5 intervals, but my 5th interval was not the same 3-minute AMRAP. It was a little different, right? Max reps, curl and press, and then the 25 calories, which I really like that for blood flow redirection. It was a good interval. little bit different, a little more fatigue in the arms and shoulders, but I wanted to take a little bit of attention off the legs, and I still wanted to do another interval, which maybe I shouldn't have done, but I was itching to do another one, so I wanted to get in there and get another one going. But anyways, that was that. What I would do from week to week is either add more intervals or add more intensity to the intervals week to week as I go. Maybe potentially change the times, switch things up, switch the reps up, go to a 2-minute interval, switch the reps up, go to a 5-minute interval or something like that. But just a little sample HIIT workout for you. Let me know what you think. Drop your HIIT workouts in the comments, or let me know what you think about this one. Thank you for watching.